Hey all, this is Analysis, and this is part 3 now of the tier 3, combat. Tier 2 should have been skill, as I've talked about before, but yeah. Get this, get the luck. Yeah, we're doing pretty great. And the nuclear launcher, of course, shows up. Yeah, we don't have enough. Do we have enough life steal for that? I mean, nah, man. Nah. That's another thief dagger, though. Yeah, do that. We want to combine more thief dagger, but yeah, but we want to have. We want, of course, to get and this, by the way, with the whole Abyssal DLC. But I mean, naming all of the videos like with the fact that it's with Abyssal Terror, so I feel like it's almost unnecessary and stuff that, Even though the funny thing is the ones that we called like Abyssal Terror before, we didn't even run on this map. But I mean, the map doesn't technically look different, right, or does it? Because I mean, right, because the background that we can choose, right, that does not affect what's on the floor, right? It's actually in the abyss where you can see the sea shells and stuff like that, and some other things on the ground, right? Because on the other ones, you can see more like a potato field and you're going on no matter what the background was. I feel like, Yeah, we're gonna go into outer space eventually and stuff like that, right? Like, because like Abyssal Depths made sense, of course, and stuff like that, right? But we're gonna go into space because then you could have like a cosmonaut character, right? And stuff like that, and other stuff. Lifesteal, yes. Am I more luck though? No harvesting. Yes, we actually do that. And we combine two of those. That instead of combining the two flamethrowers. Harvesting different weapons. First Thief's Dagger. And then we can combine those Thief's Dagger up. And then we combine these Thief's Dagger, boom. Now we have a Thief's Dagger which has a man, but it's bad because it's not having the two materials even. And I love the rocket launcher, but and then Blunderbuss, of course. Blunderbuss is really bad unless either you get a bunch of attack speed or you have like a shit ton of enemies, so you always have enough materials available. The problem is our elemental damage is only 8 and stuff that's but you can see that for example when it becomes purple all of a sudden it's 5 times 12 stuff that in the damage there, as you can see. But it is only like 1 damage there, which I still feel is like very, very low. I've seen that damage be like way high, but I feel like you need other scalings. The flamethrower as quickly as possible for it to start becoming a lot better and stuff like that. But you can see the damage we're doing with the flamethrower is still pretty decent. Actually, our damage is not super high yet, but yeah, it is still going to be good. Because I know what we need for to make the flamethrowers good, but the main problem is we might just get unlucky here. Have we gotten an ice cube yet? No, we have not seen the ice cube yet. The fact that we have not seen the ice cube yet is a bit scary, and the fact that we have like very, very low range. Because you have to realize, right, longer range on the flamethrower means the flamethrower goes out longer, meaning that we can burn enemies. Like if there is a big group chasing us, then we can burn several enemies in. Like the projectile won't stop at the first enemies because that has nothing to do with pierce. Like if you have enough range on the flamethrower, oh, yes, please. Yes. There's the goldfish. There's the coil. Oh man, that became cursed. Get that though. Man, soon. Yeah, so flamethrower heavy, yeah, it becomes literally deals 8 times 17 and then the critical is 2 times. So you have a 24% chance to crit. But I believe when it shows critical times 2 there, I think that also means that that's how it affects the damage, that it's the critical damage gets twice or whatever it is. Yeah. Now I forgot how the burn affected, or does the burn... Yeah, we did get incendiary turret. By the way, the funny thing about the incendiary turret, yeah, that's the turret if you want to do flame damage. And that scales, of course, via engineering and stuff that, so yeah, you know. Because yeah, you can see the fact though that we don't have the scared sausage, we don't have a snake, you know, and stuff that, like there's a lot of like good elemental items that we're missing. And we're only level 18. At this point we could have already been like level 24 or something like that, you know, if we would have kept on using like the thief's daggers. I don't think we're playing into harvesting enough here, the character so far at least. You have to realize also that if we get insane attack speed with this weapon, then yeah, like things become even more insane. Because yes, the weapon already attacks quickly, but you know... Garden is... Yes, just get that. Just get attack speed here. Another flamethrower, get rid of Thief's Dagger, get that. Lock that. Because yeah, that gives you extra attack speed. And then 1% attack speed every 1 second until the wave. Bonus is lost when taking damage. Yeah. Another flamethrower we can lock. Elemental damage. Plus piercing on crit chance, yes. Our burning is pretty good now. Can we see our burn damage? Burning spread, burning speed 0%, burning spread 0. And I would have loved to see what our actual burning damage is, how much damage it actually is doing, you know. Because I did have a run once when I had like a shit ton of flamethrowers, and then they start becoming cursed, and when flamethrowers become cursed, something very interesting happens. Stuff that, you know. Like if you compare it to normal and stuff that, you know. Yeah, because the flamethrowers on their own aren't super good and stuff that, as you can see here. The damage is not like absolutely crazy or anything, but keep in mind, right, that we're missing a lot of the really good elemental damage, like weapons. We have like 11 elemental damage, but it's still very low and stuff there, but yeah. %8 damage from that. Get that again, get that, get that, get that. Now you're stuck to can't create. Just get that. Get that. So range, yeah, our range is still bad. Yeah, sure, we only have one structure, but that also means that the lighthouse is absolutely bonkers, because the lighthouse is actually strong when you don't have a bunch of structures. But that also means that, for example, that you can gain negative engineering from having like the lighthouse if you have too many, you know, structures. All of a sudden, while it became loud, all of a sudden the hearing in one ear became super negative. I used to upgrade the hearing and was like beepily boop boop. You know, harvesting isn't that high or anything, but still, you know. Okay, harvesting with that. Luck. Oh man, there's the fireball though. And I love the fireball and everything, because the fireball can also like explode. There's no explosion happening with this right now. So yeah, so see, from blue it goes from 3 times 17 damage, 5 times 20 on purple, and then it goes to 8 times 22 damage. Burning. Fuel tank. Starfish, yes please. Yes please. Taking power, yeah, so it's 20% damage. So that means you need to get hit 10 times to lose that. To lose the 20% damage. Take damage until the end of the wave. You can also gain negative damage from this. So you need to make sure that you have a good damage percentage as well already. That does increase enemy damage though. Which, you know, is a bit scary. What's our HP regen is actually 4k. See, you stay close enough to it. And then we just get some fried calamari or whatever you know want to call it, you know. Some delicious things. Free treasure chest. Look, more hidden footprints. Footprints. This guy takes a long time to burn. Because this guy is actually supposed to be tanky. Oh, nice. Engineering, yes. 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 Speed? Yes. Crit. Adding yes. Another incendiary turret, that. I have 15 elemental damage now. Okay. I don't have scared sausage yet though. Because see, the funny thing with the scary sausage is that the flamethrower hits very often. Which is like weird to say, whatever, right? But I believe the burning damage actually stacks. So I think how it gets explained, like if you have like a shit ton of flamethrowers, then the burning effect can actually stack multiple times, so you don't have just one burning effect on the enemy. You can have several or whatever, right? But I now forgot exactly how it interacted with lifesteal, if it's possible to, you know, like every time you're burning deal damage, you like lifesteal or whatever, because that would be absolutely insane then. No. It also means, for example, that, this, if it scales 1% now, for example, the thing, right, gives you 10%, right? So then it means that this would become, so all of these scale 11% all of a sudden. So that means, for example, instead of just doing 1 damage with each of these, you will instead be doing 10 damage. And that doesn't seem like a lot, right? But, you know, then also when you count in like crits and stuff, that's when it really starts becoming good. Yes. 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 Upon yes. That's slow attack speed though, but yeah. 10% attack speed, increase attack speed of structures, yes. Yeah, we have 2 incendiary turrets so far, and how much engineering do we have? We have 9. We go endless again, though, is the question. Run down everything. Now we actually have some positive range. So now what's a range? What's it gains more range? Because with rarity there it is 250 there, for example. Then it's 300 from that, 400 from that. Yeah, so that's actually very, very useful. You see what I mean when it comes to like dealing with groups that I can obviously hit things from a pretty decent away, but you see also that you don't need any piercing, but because we don't have any piercing. We have 0 piercing, but we're still kind of piercing right because we can still hit things behind stuff. And of course, since the burning can spread, also that's also a way to deal with a lot of enemies. This feels also very feasible. I mean, imagine if they do a thin crossover like the old movie. Yes, 3 armor crit. Engineering speed, even though it's less HP regen and less lifesteal. Attack speed. Get that. Just this do so much damage. Flamethrowers. XP, another damage. Yes. Although that's more range, not XP. Get the coke. Yeah, we need to get a bit lucky here. Do we go endless again? Maybe. Because I would like to take this into the stratosphere if possible. You know, but we need to get certain items very quickly here before we're get scaled out and stuff like that, because yeah, the good thing of course is their attack speed is absolutely insane, but we need to get a lot of range because we do have some decent range already now. Oh, -1. Never mind that. Yeah, we need the scare sausages, of course. Hopefully like cursed scare sausage, stuff like that. Like the fact also that yeah, if we get a single like cursed flamethrower, that's gonna be huge. Because I believe the flamethrower, the lowest it can show up as being a rare item. It cannot show up as the weakest level. Like certain items are like that. Yes. Yes. 60% damage. Yes. 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 I would love that though. Spawn a little Bob again. Was an engineering, lock that. Computer piercing. But if things come too accurate, that mean that things just miss. Not the damage, right? Like, can you get too many eye patches? It's absolutely crazy. Curse is 26 though. Right, and only one more wave remaining after this. The worst thing is after this wave, if the really Wrack good stuff starts showing up and all the stuff that, forgot if the bots, do they count as structures as well? So if we would get, because we have like 4 structures then in total at this point, I feel like. Yes. Heavy bullet. Endless. Let's see how easy we would have dealt with the bosses. Not really that good. I mean, getting this very late is not good. And mistake, yeah. So stick by element, yeah, that's not the ice cube I was thinking about. Mistake, yeah. Because this is not that item. What is the item called then? There is an item basically like every time you take elemental damage, it's something. Whatever. Maybe we should be able to kill these, but yeah, you do get a lot of time here, of course, obviously, so stay close to the turrets, so the turrets can provide more damage. Hard to see though. Shark is about to die though. But just kill the shark, please. We can kill the shark, but we didn't kill the other boss. Yes. Elemental damage from that is insane. %. And now we're getting luck. Getting pretty lucky now. So yeah, now we have damage 2 on them. But why did we get damage 2 of them all of a sudden? Is that because of this? Or is that actually because of... I think that's just because of enough elemental damage. That's why it gets damage 2 because it's 1% from elemental damage. Yeah, we definitely want to find that frozen auto if possible. Just that. It's silly no map. Our armor is really bad though. The fact that items are cheap with this character is also like really good. And because you already gained 25% materials from recycling, and this is 65% more, so 65, 70, 80, so 90% more materials from recycling. So does that mean that you can almost like use gain infinite materials from recycling? You almost get back what you paid for something, Yes, the main problem is our damage is still not very high. Even though we have 22 elemental damage, but that's still very low. But I forgot, wasn't it also an ice-like thing? Not the ice cube, but it's another thing, because there's a thing that every time you take elemental damage, for example, like each time you take something that gives you elemental damage, you gain more elemental damage or whatever it is. Like that though. For elemental damage, yes. 10% more damage. Yes. That's that. Reroll. Yes. Power Fist though. Got the flamethrower. Boom. Let's actually do this. Boom, boom, boom. So we can have. We have 4 red flamethrowers. Keep on. Get that. Get the Abyssal. We lock the shock bullet. Although I don't think it can become cursed like that because you need a fish hook for things when they're locked to become cursed, because otherwise those items have a chance to appear in the shop. What's our range, by the way? Our range is 84. Yeah, these bosses actually seem easier than previous bosses or whatever. We still do take a lot of damage here actually. Yeah, the main problem is if we would have had burning sausage, like our damage would just be so much more. Like it might not sound like it would be that much more just from having like the sausage, but you know, just yeah. And if we could get the thing that could double the chest things, we reroll. Just let's take that. Yes, 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 yes. Here's the black flag finally, boom. Now we cannot take that. Too much of that. Yeah, because what's our accuracy? Can we even see the accuracy somewhere? No, we cannot. So our accuracy somewhere. Because we would have like, what, we would have 30% 30% less accuracy with that, even though it gives you crit chance. Bean teacher with that. Another flamethrower. When they die. I steal, yes, even though that's less knockback here. No. They're way too low life steal for that. The amount of damage is 23, by the way. And I know what weapons goes well with the flamethrower, by the way. If we ever need to block chains or things, so we can gain more survivability. I know what weapons are good. Yeah, the fact that we haven't seen the scared sources, and I know the scared sources, you might say that oh, it's too common of an item, so it won't show up when you're this late and stuff like that. Like, so you might say that that is true also, but then why didn't quote-unquote rarer flamethrower show up for the sick character? Can the sick character not get flamethrower, or are there all like weapons that are locked for certain characters is the question, you know, and stuff like that, you know. Is that the case, you know? Okay, we almost got 1,000 materials. Get that now. Get that. We like the engineering actually at that point. Yes. 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 Combine those two, boom, boom, boom. There's the charcoal. I know that flamethrower, for example, works with grenade launcher as well, for example, and some other stuff as well, but yeah. So now each of these are dealing 2 damage, and then 8 times 64 on the back. No. Yeah, of course, if you had a bunch of, like, for example, the fact that the flamethrower attacks so quickly also means, for example, that if we would have stuff like, for example, the baby elephants, if, for example, we get a mirror and that's like a cursed baby elephant, then that would be pretty decent. But of course, if we had like an insane amount of luck, then that would be even more insane, you know, stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, we would want to get a silver bullet. If we see the silver bullet, we just need to take it, because the silver bullet a big difference here. So that the fact that we haven't seen the silver bullet yet is a bit, you know, disturbing, so to speak. Probably won't even kill one of them. Sadly, so I can keep myself safe in here instead. Luck. Yes. Harvesting. Yes. More luck. Yes. Oh man, then the rocket launcher fucking shows up. Exoskeleton though. Oh man, that's 7% lifesteal though. So it's really the black flag that is like adding you so much and stuff like that, you're right. And of course, the more stuff we curse, the higher our curse gets, the more materials we're gonna get via the black flag and stuff like that, you know. I mean, we're all level 36 and stuff like that, you know, but still, you know, flamethrowers are still not strong. But you can see, as long as we're just dealing with horde enemies or like weaker enemies, then the flamethrower is like completely fine, but against bosses, the flamethrower is really bad. Until of course you get enough burning damage, that's the whole thing. That it's the damage, it's burning damage we need. Or we need to support ourselves with enough turrets, basically. Because of that. Like if we can get a bunch of turrets, then that would also be very powerful at this point. What's the crit? 50% chance crit. There's a cyber ball, which is dependent on luck for the damage. Elemental damage. Treasure map. That. 2 plus luck for every crit chance you have. That's just gonna boost that burning seminar. Oh, there's another golem as well. But that garden counts as a structure, by the way, like, or how does, you know? I would think that the flying bots, for example, can count as a structure as well, because, yeah, the flying bots are actually, like, really good. But I forgot, like, because, of course, the flying bots doesn't have a maximum on it. So we have 2 of those. There are still certain items we usually need to see happen. Stuff that, you know. Now, if we could get that thing that make consumables explode when we get them, then that would be really nice. Attack speed, damage. Attack speed, yes. So that luck thing there, so now we have 221 luck. And we have Yeah, we're pretty decent. Health regen. Do we need more pickup range? No, not really. There's the scat sources finally. We don't even have the maximum amount of the weapons yet. Nah, we're not gonna survive this wave. Unless we stay way, way far away from them, but then they get damaged. Here's when we have the really, really good stuff show up here. Might still actually be able to do it because of our... Like we do have a lot of farms. I mean, I would have loved to kill them, but you know... So we're still getting a lot of materials from that run. There it is. An engineering weapon damage. Is it got cursed? Even though 5 plus curse is just a little bit. Five steel. Range. Skip that. Finally, fried rice. Nah. A hunting trophy though. Flamethrower. Nah, range damage does nothing for us. Although you see now it went up to 37 damage there because we have the scaling with the engineering. But yeah, we need engineering to go up as well. We have 48 engineering though. So yeah. So range now with the weapons. So range now is now 709. Flamethrower. We'll see if we can get enough range, then we can basically just blast bosses from a very, very safe distance and stuff like that, you know. Of course, if we get hit for a lot. Because we only have one armor. We have the anvil, by the way, already is the question. It doesn't look like it. Yeah. We still want to get the thing so we can get more damage, also scaling with the elemental. Because you can see there, for example, how much that added to its default damage just from the engineering scaling there. And if we get the elemental one, then that's gonna boost it up even more and stuff like that. Like we need to get that. Fucking bullets, man. Bullets are really, really what kills you most of the time, you know, and stuff like that. The bullets are always... Hosting. Yes. Yes. Free engineering, harvesting, more incendiaries, more melee damage, more engineering. And there's the particle accelerator though. Because you can see, so first off, yes, it deals only elemental damage normally. Right? But it also scales via engineering now. And then deals 17 times 116 burning damage, slows enemies by 4%. On hit for every one engineering you have 208%. You know, so you slow enemies by 208%, and you know, like yeah, that's just... So we would literally hope that we survive this. That we can survive this wave. Because then all of a sudden we're gonna get an insane amount of damage. Even though I've said yes, the particle accelerator can be bad because we only have 133 attack speed, the particle accelerator is pretty slow. But when you combine it with something else, that's when it gets really good. For example, if we could have a ton of particle accelerators, if we all of a sudden had a bunch of them, that's really good. Because the particle accelerator is of course like a rail gun. It's just like a weird way of not calling it a rail gun, you know. Instead of calling it particle accelerator, make it sound more sciencey, you know, and stuff like that. Like, oh, you know, there's not a scientist character yet in the game, though, which is interesting. I mean, there is a doctor, but, you know, still. The materials. Because so many enemies are cursed. Like, look at our materials, man. That was scary to do. That was very, very scary to do. More materials though, man. Materials though. Yeah, that's actually pretty decent. No. That would have been so good though, if we had high dodge, but we don't. More range though. We need that though. You know, normally we have for both. No. Because that's 41 damage, that's not better than any of these. Right. Because this is not cursed or anything, no. Are you kidding me at this point? I'm sure it's like 0.69 cooldown, which is quite a lot. Yes. Oh man, nah, don't take that, don't fall into the fairy trap sometimes. The main problem with torture is that it restores 5 health per second, right? What's our health regen at? 4.91. That's with 54 health regen though. Let's take that. Because see, it doesn't show up there as being like 5 per second there, but... Okay. Let's cast Edge. Yes, because we don't have a fish hook. Let's get this. That would have been insane though otherwise. Because now we have 69 HP regen with that. But shouldn't that allow us to go past the torture if we have the medkits? Right, because that should keep stacking, right? I don't know. But now we have 2 particle accelerator. So one is cursed. So that's 100%. So same by 2% hit for every one engineer you have. So same by 2% on hit for every one. So it's actually more than 4% and it's actually more than 2% because our engineering is at 50. So yeah. Oh, we took so much damage though. I knew that was gonna happen though. I mean, right, that was just because we took so much damage. We only had 3 armor and stuff. That was really bad. But we do get bowler hat from this, which is 15 luck and 18 plus harvesting. How much stone can we record? Okay, maybe that's enough for a round. So we need to do rounds with Hunter, Artificer, Streamer, Yak, Apprentice, and then one arm, then ND. Magicist. Let's actually do with the one armed. So what I mean. So you get 200% attack speed, the modifications. So yeah, you have 200% attack speed, which is crazy, which is why I went with the particle accelerator when I found it. but then that was so much worse. Damage modifications are increased by 100%, but you can only equip one weapon at a time. I forgot what I started with. Did I start with the Thief Dagger? It's good, and Thief Dagger is actually very, very good to start with, I feel like. Because yeah, you attack very quickly. I'm trying to think here. Yeah, let's just start with the Thief Dagger for now. I forgot exactly how we did. Yeah, but you can see, for example, this still looks like the background. Even though this looks more like the default background, you can still see that the things that show up on the stage here is like you can see anchors, for example. Like this isn't what would show up on the other map. So the background doesn't affect what the map is. Because you can see the background there, for example, like I said to random, it can be dirt, forest, volcano, dreamlands, bony or darklands, ocean, shipwreck, abyss. Of course, I believe that not all of these existed at first, right? But otherwise, right, this would be spoilers for what expansions would be, right? If the ocean, shipwreck, and abyss already existed before, right? Then maybe there would be a volcano expansion, maybe there would be a dreamlands expansion, you know, what I'm getting at. So, like that. The explosion opacity 100%, because I need to turn that down at one point, but yeah. But of course we need to have crit to make that work. And we get crit immediately. And then eventually you go over to other weapons as well, by the way. Yeah, let's pick up a turret here. Pick up landmines. See, I cannot remember what build I tried to do last time with this, you know, and stuff like that, because yeah, as you are one arm, so you can only have one thing. But damage modification becomes very, very powerful. And stuff like that, and you have like very, very high attack speed. This means, for example, like cursing stuff as quickly as possible is going to become important, but that also means that stuff like the anvil becomes like very powerful also to find really early on. That's very insane right now to already have a purple weapon at this point. Attack speed. And get the belly elephant. So yeah, you can trigger it by just walking into your own mine, which is a bit silly, you know, of course. Right, so damage modifications are of course increased by 100%, so we basically double damage modifications. But the question is, does the damage modifications also affect, like, for example, damage via leveling up, you know, stuff like that, you know? Because yeah, I was very close on finishing one run with this character before, but then I did a mistake of taking the particular accelerate, because on its own, it's not super good. It needs certain supporting weapons. Little damage. More crit. Yes. Yes. Ooh, scat sausage. Of course, since they say like the damage modifications are increased by 100%. Meaning, for example, if they could go negative, they don't like give you more negative, right? And stuff they don't want. But yeah, it's not going to cost very, very quick attack speed. Right, then it has 60% chance to gain material, but yeah. Of course, way better weapons you can have, but there are like certain weapons, like legendaries become like really, really useful when you can only have one weapon. Okay, that's very, very useful. And more attack speed though, that is like... You get 5% more crit. The Rens is also like really, really good as well. Cycle that, get the wrench. Alien is... Oh man, Anchor can now scale with. The Anchor, by the way, is really good because of the fact that what it scales with. Wrench is also good, but it scales with melee. But the turret that you have, yeah, it scales via engineering. That also scales 80% via engineering, as you can see, and it is 10 damage. This one only gives 6 and all scales. But that's like 8 times what? 6. That's specifically burning damage. Yeah, that's because that's a different turret, that's not the default turret. So the second turret that you get is the incendiary turret. Then the purple one gives you the laser turret. And then if you get the what do you call it, the tier 4. If you get the tier 4 Rens, then that gives us the explosive turret. CCS having like explosive weapons are really, really powerful on this. You know, and yes, the landmines are also very good. Because the landmines, by the way, there's also a weapon, of course, if you, for example, if you start with a screwdriver, the screwdriver can actually give you... let's go melee damage here. Oh man, there's the granny launcher though. Once you spawn, yeah, you can see a landmine spawns every 9 seconds. It's also very good, and that scales also via engineering. Yeah, so you definitely want to get things that can do damage here. So, which is why this is getting 3% damage from the corrupted shard and stuff like that, yeah. I haven't even gotten any really damage increasing things except for the corrupted shard so far. Now I know though what weapons we want to keep an eye out for though. God damn it, I hate it when it does that. 53 minutes, okay. I'll probably do recording some more there after this. Well, no, we'll probably make one more recording session at least. Because it's 18:22 now, the clock. Because I know weapons that can be good even if you only have one of them and stuff like that, you know. Because it changes a lot, like how good certain weapons are when you only have one of them. 8% damage. Hit. Right, let's get rid of these now. Get the grenade launch, get these. Lock both of those. In the bounce on course, cooldown is 1.11 every 2 shots. Quick test on hit. It's of course that also becomes better than with explosion size, explosion damage. What's the range? The range is only 350. Which isn't the greatest thing in the world. It works for now. And the best thing I believe is grenade launchers can only at worst be blue. Meaning, for example, that we probably... Hopefully we can find another blue so we can get like a purple weapon and stuff there, because yeah, no. Because the fact also is that when you're using this, for example, then it becomes really hard to get like a tier 4 weapon. Stuff that way, because yeah. We have very low max health actually. Get HP regeneration. Yes. Staying 1 hits to engineering. No. For that, not yet. Okay, the minigun is a bit of a risk because it actually deals very low damage, the minigun. Stuff that, like the minigun can be an absolute trap and stuff that we just take the minigun and then we just lose immediately. But I feel like there's this wave is early enough that we might be able to actually take it and get away with it. But I need to see exactly what it scales with and then start going for that immediately. Because it might be that only scales with range damage. We do have a decent amount of crit with 16% though without like scaling with something like Field Stagger and stuff that, you know. So I would have loved the minigun to be purple instead, you know, instead of being like being blue and stuff that, you know. Attack speed. I didn't know if I was gonna be able to afford that there, but yeah, so that was this. Okay, so it scales 50% with the ranged. Is how it scales. Oh, it was purple actually. So 50% via ranged damage. We have 0 currently. So it doesn't do very, very high damage, but we do have a critical 1.75, so 70% chance crit. Maybe that's used for my critical chance that I have. It does have 3 knockback though, which is actually pretty decent. It's used that it attacks so quickly, like 0.046. So even if it's only doing 1 damage, right, and when it crits it deals 2. So, you know, yes, it's not super high yet, but the thing is also if we can get certain other scaling items, that's when it starts getting really, really good. If we can get, for example, a Frozen Heart again. I mean, we didn't get Frozen Heart last time, but you still know what I mean. But if you get any near anything, for example, that adds a bunch of damage to this weapon as well. Like as soon as we don't only do 1 damage each time, right? As soon as we get enough damage, right? Okay, then we get like damage percent. We get a bunch of like damage percent, for example. We get just a bunch of range damage, then like the things will change a lot. How much damage we do. Base damage. And there's explosion size. More knockback. Drop that. Structures can crit. Okay. My hat is on fire. Oh, all of a sudden dealing 4 damage just from that little, just from 4 range damage. Okay, so whatever range damage is, that will be what our damage with the minigun is. So range damage is just going to be absolutely insane. We just want to roll range damage and then we can basically get carried by this weapon, even though it's only purple, because it just attacks so quickly. And I know there's also a laser gatling that you can get and stuff that still, you know. Get the